In today's video, I got another one of my coaching clients. She's an absolute rock star. She's going to walk you through how she was able to do $10 million in her first full year in real estate while working a full-time job, while having a full-time career. She's going to walk you through her lead generation tactics, her strategies, her conversion system, how she's able to convert leads into appointments, those appointments into listings. We're going to get really, really specific. I'm going to break down her daily schedule. We're going to break down all her lead sources. She's going to walk through all her conversion ratios so that you can have as many good takeaways as possible. And if anything in the interview makes sense to you and you feel as though you're open to having a coaching relationship with me, like she does, then I'm going to put a link underneath this video. Feel free to click it. We can have a dialogue, have a conversation about what it looks like to work together, and then together we'll decide if maybe working together at this point makes sense or not. So with that being said, enjoy the interview. I was just going to ask you this off air, but how long is 2022 your first full year in real estate? And I guess not really, because you were working full time, right? Like, walk me through the dynamic of that really quick.
So I got licensed December of 2020. I signed up with EXP January 2021, but really did not get started until about April of 2021 because I unfortunately had COVID really bad. But while I had COVID, I took the time to learn and to figure out what it meant to be a new realtor, and that's when I found you, fortunately. So my first transaction was to a FISBO, and she said, "Okay, I was a broker in Oregon. Just come on over, tell me what you got." And I went and met with her, and I used your system from back then. And she was like, "Okay, yep, come list me." So that was my first transaction, was a FISBO last April, and I closed last June.
Wow. And then from there, it's been nothing but just straight up trajectory. So you just got done telling me I think the next closing will get you to 10 million in sold sales volume for 2022. What I want to do, Dawn, is take maybe the next 15 or 20 minutes and walk people through how you were able to do that, because for a large portion of 2022, you were still working full time until you really had some more bandwidth to go out there and put your all into this business, correct?
Actually earlier this year is when I took a leave of absence. Basically I was like stepping out on a limb and, let me go for it and see how I can do. And luckily I still had knowing I could go back to corporate America at any point, but yeah.
Yeah, got it. And corporate America, let's just unpack that. I mean, you had a long-term career as an engineer. I mean, it's not like you know, and I'll be what's the word? I want to be respectful of other people that get in the industry, but it's not like you weren't doing well looking for an escape. I mean, you had a really good career. From my understanding, you were making a six-figure income doing what you were doing. Walk us through quickly what you were doing before, and then we'll unpack the real estate business.
Yeah, so it's 29 years career that I'm getting ready to leave. And we developed networks the last several years of my career. We've developed networks like your Zoom calls, putting that together. As a network engineer. And so really quickly, I want to address what made me get into real estate was I'm a world traveler. And when COVID happened, I couldn't travel anymore. So I thought, I've always wanted to do real estate, and I didn't do it earlier. I've always wanted to do real estate. So let me try my hand at this. And I did not intend for this to be a career at all.
Right.
So,
yeah. Well, and now here we are, just I don't know, maybe a year later, and you're doing extremely well. And so in your market with 10 million in sales, I mean, what does the GCI on that look like? Like, what does the top line commission look like at something like 10 million in your market?
So I've had a couple referrals and stuff like that. So I think my GCI is 228 or something like that.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. And is
Yeah.
that more or less than you were earning in corporate America?
It's more.
It's more. And that not only was it more, but you still 2023, from my understanding, will be the first year where you'll be able to, Dawn, put everything into real estate. Like that'll be your singular focus, no distractions, no other things going on. Is that right?
Yes, yes.
Yes. Okay. So what is your goal for 2023?
So my goal for 2023 is to have 350 GCI,
Okay.
350,000 GCI. And that just means about 35 closed transactions.
Got it.
And if I can break that down, as far as prospecting hours and all that good stuff, I already know
Which
it.
we'll get into it. We'll get into it. That'll be great. So your goal. So this year, we've got the rest of November, December. You're going to finish out maybe somewhere around 250,000 in GCI. Your goal for next year is 350,000 in GCI. So this year, the 10 million. Let's break down this year, and then we'll get into next year. First, let's talk about what lead sources are you working right now.
Right now, I really concentrate on expireds and canceled.
Okay.
And I do also call a couple for rent by owners and absentees. And once I feel like my expires and cancels are getting stale for the day, I'll switch it up. But yeah, I focus on expireds and cancels right now.
Okay, got it. And so I want to break down your schedule, your skills, your approach. I mean, how first off, Dawn, how are you working these lead sources? Are you doing advertising to them? Are you knocking their doors? Are you calling them? What are you doing to communicate with these folks?
So 95% of what I'm doing is actually just cold calling, just calling them. I do advertise on social media. You've taught us how to add emails into social media to target them. So I've done that. I can't say how well that does for me, but I still do it. But yeah, it's basically
you just pick up the phone and you call them, right? So you're one of the and I think that maybe you get this just from for you, your work ethic. When I and you've never told me this, but your work ethic is so inspiring because you come from, and I see this all the time, people that have a long-term corporate career come in this business and they have no problem with work ethic, but if they don't have that background, they come in as an independent contractor and they really struggle. Your work ethic is incredible. Do you think that comes from the corporate background, or where's the discipline and the focus come from on a day-to-day basis?
Probably I'm coming from a 29-year career of stability. And I know that I need to be able to, and I have single income, my income. I know I need to be able to continue to live my life how I want to live my life. So I think it's the mindset that I need that stability. So I need to do whatever it takes to have a business and grow my business.
You don't have a choice. I mean, you got to do the work. People are depending on you. You're the only income. So you do the work. So let's define that. Let's break down the schedule. Let's talk about your prospecting specifically. How many people are you usually talking with on a daily basis?
Between 300 and 500 is my typical day. It depends on, I get caught up sometimes in conversations that take forever to get off, but that's okay. So yeah, it's between 300 and 500 a day that
that you
call.
Dial 300 and 500 dials, or how many contacts are you making though?
Sorry, dials. Yes. So contacts, over the last couple of weeks, I've been getting about 35 to 45 contacts a day.
Yes.
And that's, between 3.5 and 6 hours of calling.
Wow. So 3.5 to 6 hours, and you're having 35 to 40 contacts a day. You know as well as I do. I mean, the number one question we get from other real estate agents is, I can't get anybody on the phone. How is she talking to so many people? Well, first off, you're putting forth 3, 4, 5, 6 hours of actual work. So that's number one. I mean, Let's put that aside. I mean, that's the biggest one for a second. But are there any best practices that you can share that's helped you increase your contact rate, get more people on the phone, or are there any tactics you could share?
Well, yeah. So what I do is the list that I have, I immediately get rid of the people that I know are not, don't want to have anything to do with me, and that's okay. So I focus on calling and continue to call over and over and over again those people that basically didn't tell me to go kick rocks somewhere. And so that has helped me stay in the pocket with a lot of people. But I think sticking to my schedule of, and I have the schedule right here in front of me,
Yes.
sticking to my schedule and being very strict with it has allowed me to be focused and continue to make the calls to be able to get those contacts.
Love it. I love it. So you're having 35, 40 conversations a day. From that point, let's stay on the schedule and then we'll kind of come back to skills. After you're done prospecting, which is about 50, 60% of your day, what does the rest of your day look like?
So as soon as I'm finished with prospecting, I first of all eat, and then I all the leads that I got, and I'm averaging over the last 2 weeks about 4 good leads a day. I
Amazing.
I have a whole list of things that I have to do in order to follow up with them. So I make sure they are entered into my database. They get the text, they get the emails, they get my resume. I have a whole list of things that I do. So I clean up my database.
And you're doing
Um,
all of that. You don't have an assistant at this point, correct?
no, correct.
You're doing
Right.
it all by yourself. You're having 5 hours of prospecting. You're generating 4 really solid seller leads every day. And then you're organizing that into the database, while maybe you're eating lunch. And then what does the afternoon typically look like?
So the afternoons, I may take some training, but I shoot to have at least one listing appointment a day, and I go on that listing appointment. If I don't have a listing appointment, what I've been doing recently is just going into new construction or visiting a home that in my neighborhood or in a neighborhood that I target, visiting that home that's for sale, just looking at it and taking note of how
You're learning the
quickly it's.
market.
Yeah, yeah. I literally sit in front of my computer every single morning and several times throughout the day to see what has been listed, how many days on market.
You're a real expert. You're an engineer, and so you're really looking at the data every day, saying, "I need to know. I need to be a student of the game, so that you can be a product of the product." Because really, what we're selling is our knowledge, is our advice, is our expertise. How well do we know the market? So you prioritize that the same way you prioritize prospecting and lead generation.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
I love it.
Everything I do is about. First of all, in my mornings is prospecting. My afternoons are what do I need to know today that I didn't know yesterday.
Yeah, I love that. That's great. Okay, so let's go back to the phone calls for a second. Let's break those down. You and I have been working a lot on skills, sales skills over the phone that lead you to setting more appointments. Are there one or two skills, Dawn, that you could share with the audience that you have found really help you on these phone calls to either generate leads or set more appointments?
So the biggest thing for me is being authentic, being myself. Yeah, we have scripts, and I learned how to prospect from those scripts, but I've turned them into my own. So being genuine, and I'm a very inquisitive, I'll say a very nosy person, anyways. So to be curious is natural for me, and that I think that really shows through my speech pattern. When I'm talking to my potential prospects.
Sure.
So being naturally curious and also asking them questions. Hey, Mr. Prospect, do you mind if I ask you a question? And Mr. Prospect, just curious, do you mind if
Getting their
I
permission to have the conversation.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Smart.
And so I found that has, I mean, you taught me that, and it was an epiphany for me, like, oh my God, that is absolutely true. People want to know that they're in control.
That's
And
right.
by me asking questions and by me saying, is it okay that I ask you these questions? I get so many more people having conversations with me.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest things is I found, and we talked about this several months ago, and I put this into use every day, is I say, hey, Mr. Prospect, this is Dawn. I am a local realtor, but before you hang up, I was hoping I could ask you a really quick question. People love it. They just love that. I get laughs. I get people saying absolutely. So,
It's a
yeah.
great
So those,
opening line. It's a great way to open a sales call because you're respecting the person. You're calling out the behavior that they probably want to do. So then you make light of it. And so now they really open up to you. It's great.
yeah. So those are the three big things: is my opening, being curious, and asking them, is it okay for me to ask you questions?
Yeah. Yeah. I like it. Is there an approach, staying on the phone call for one more minute? Is there an approach on the call, Dawn, that you find helps to set the appointment? Is there a script? Is there a question? Is there something that you say that allows you to have people invite you over?
For the longest time, I didn't know what it was that I was getting me to that point. I
Sure.
was just trying to keep them on the phone, and I really sucked at staying in the pocket. So what I'm learning now is I listen for keywords that help me ask the next question that they want to respond to. So and of course, we have scripts, and I've learned the scripts, and I keep them right in front of me, and not that I really read off of them anymore, but yeah, I really look for keywords so that I can try to stay in the pocket, keep them talking, and asking pertinent questions that will get us to that. So I really don't mind. I would love to stop by and take a quick peek at your home and maybe offer other options to get your home sold. It's as simple as that. Just staying in the pocket with them, asking more questions.
Yeah, and you're so likable. The person probably doesn't feel very threatened to take you up to say, "Wow, yeah, I'd be happy to meet with you." So let's move to the appointment. I asked you a question a few months ago. I want to ask it to you now to see if it changed at all. There's no right or wrong answer. I'm just curious more so than anything else. Of the appointments you go on, before you said it was 50-50. 50% of the time you were setting an appointment off the first call. 50% of the time they'd come out of lead follow-up. Is that the same or has anything changed?
No, it's definitely gone up. I would probably say I'm getting the appointment probably 70% of the time that I ask for it. Now I get them really easily now
On the first call?
on the first call.
Because
Yeah.
they're more expired or more motivated people. Go ahead, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But there's more expires, more motivated people. I'm better at talking, and I'm better at asking for the appointment. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that I get the listing.
Right.
But for some reason, I'm able to get in and get appointments pretty quickly.
Yeah. And at the appointment, what's your approach there? I mean, what are you finding that is working very well, whether that be at the first appointment or the second appointment? What maybe one or two things do you find really resonate with the seller?
Well, I usually connect with them on the phone call, but I really try to make sure that connection is real when I get there. So I have them walk me through their house, and I ask them questions like, what is it that you loved about this house when you bought it? And people love to talk.
Yeah.
If you let them talk, they love to talk. So I really try to make sure that connection was authentic, the connection we had on the phone
Absolutely.
is an authentic person. Then, I literally go through the listing presentation that basically you gave us. And it's so easy to go through. And all the data, I go with all the data. So basically at the end of the conversation, they don't have a whole lot of questions because I've
Right.
provided literally everything they need.
That's great. That's awesome. And so let's talk about a little bit about next year. I mean, because we're gonna take a big jump next year. We're gonna go from 250 to 350. What maybe new strategies, techniques are you gonna put into the business that you're not doing now that you feel is gonna help you generate another 100,000 in GCI?
So over the last year, people keep telling me you need to do more social media. So I've hired a social media guru to help me with my social media posting, and I also am in the process of hiring inside sales, agents, so an ISA. Um, so I'm going to kick them off starting December 1st,
Love it.
right around there. So those are a couple of the big things that I'm putting in place now to help me kick off 2023, to
Yeah.
be a good year. And of course, I'm already doing the work. I'm already prospecting. I'm already
Right.
doing hours and hours. So I know that that's going to continue to pay off even more so. And now I'll be going into, I've been in real estate for a couple of years by then. So I'm starting to see my sphere show up, referrals.
That's right.
So,
The
yeah,
database is going to start to manifest. You've got a pipeline, you've got past clients, center of influence, referrals, all that starting to kick in. Yeah, you're
right.
going to have a big, big, big year. If I don't ask the audience, I'm telling you, they're just going to bitch and complain. I'm just kidding. But about the ISAs. So really quick, what are you going to have them focus on? When you hire your ISA, are you going to have them call for sale by owners expired? You're going to have them circle prospect? What are you thinking you're going to have them do mostly?
So I'm initially going to have them focus on absentee and circle
Got it.
prospecting.
Love it.
I may throw in old expires because really that's just circle prospecting as well.
Yep.
Especially old expireds from this year, because this year a lot of people right now people just there's tons of expireds out there and they're just waiting now for 2023. So I think that's what I'm going to have them focus on is the absentees, circle prospecting, and old expireds.
I love it. That's great. So, Dawn, if you could go back, get licensed all over again, and you saw that Dawn, knowing what you know now, having the experience you have now, what are maybe some one, two, three pieces of advice that you might give yourself that, I don't know, maybe another new real estate agent that's watching this could really benefit from?
Well, first of all, I would have got in years ago, but it is what it is at this point. So I would say learn how to be a realtor, learn the hard work right out of the gate, learn how to prospect, get a coach. For me, getting a coach was probably the game changer. I really honestly know I would not have been as successful had I not had a coach. You being my coach. So get a coach, and again, I found you on YouTube, like most people did. And there's several coaches on YouTube, but you are what you are. I was gravitated to you because I'm not salesy. I have the engineer mind or head. And so that was the big thing is learning to prospect, getting a coach so I can grow. Those were probably the two big things that I did right away. And I wish I had done it like day one, but I waited a month or 2 months, but I still learned right up front. So
Yeah.
as a new agent, absolutely, those are the two big things. Learn to prospect, to get your own leads so you don't have to pay for them, and get a coach.
Yeah, I love it. Well, thanks for the kind words. I mean, we talk about you all the time. I think you know how we feel about you on the team, and I'm just excited to watch you grow into next year because it's amazing that you were able to accomplish so much this year with still, a full-time career on your hands that you were managing, you were juggling all of that. And so when you have a singular focus on this one thing with your skills and your work ethic and all the things you're putting into place that we're working on, it's going to be an amazing, amazing year for you next year. So, Dawn, listen, we appreciate you very much for doing this. You are certainly going to inspire some folks. So thanks for spending some few minutes with us today.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for everything, Yeah.
All good, Dawn. I'll talk to you soon, okay?
Okay.
Bye-bye.